Everybody always talks about the bad parts of being a mom. Everybody always talks about the bad parts of being a wife. Everybody's so negative. Does anybody have any good stories? There was a period in time when all we did as women was sit around and talk about the good stuff, and we swept everything under the rug, and you don't tell your family's business, and you have to make sure you always look amazing and make sure your hair looks good, and it's your responsibility to make sure that home runs smoothly. It's your responsibility to make sure your man's eyes don't wander. If your kids don't look amazing, that's your fault, okay, sweetie? And from that generation, we have a bunch of people who are so fucked up that they no longer talk to their parents anymore. Because of that, we have a bunch of women who are having kids and they're having nervous breakdowns. They're locking themselves in the closet and in the bathroom, not just once every now and then, because things can get overwhelming being a parent, but all the time, routinely, because it's just that hard. There are women who literally don't know what to expect when they're expecting. They do not know how their bodies work. Everything is a shock and surprise to them. Educating women about the ups and the downs of pregnancy and parenting is not being negative. I can tell you all day. I posted a video last night about how the best thing I have ever done in my life was give birth to my two children. That's the best thing that I have ever done, bar none. You can't tell me nothing. I swear I will take these nails off and fight you in the middle of the street if you try to tell me that I ain't telling you the truth about that. But I'm also the same person who will tell you to wait until you're financially stable, because I know what it's like to be struggling while having kids and to have them miss out and to not be able to afford to get them the things that they need. I know what it's like. Nobody's going to be perfect. Let me just say that. But I know what it's like to be a complete wreck mentally and also still have to wake up and cook breakfast. I know what it's like to be in the hospital giving birth and have a scary situation that nobody told you could possibly happen because you just thought that giving birth was, like in the movies. I mean, sure, I read, books about pregnancy, but I was just told it was always going to be amazing. I wish I had more women like me in my life that were just honest, because maybe none of the bad stuff happens, right? Maybe you have a beautiful experience, sweetie, and I really hope you do. But it's still good to be braced with the knowledge of the good and the bad, so you're not surprised, and so that you don't feel like something's wrong with you because everybody else is saying everything is perfect all the time and everything is wonderful. That's scary. I spent years thinking that I must be broken because I'm not loving motherhood all the time. Something must be wrong with me because the women in the moms group are all telling me that everything is great all the time and they love it and they're bouncing around and doing everything and they look amazing, and I feel like shit. I spent years thinking something was wrong with me, thinking that if I share that, people are going to think that I'm a bad mom and I don't love my kids. And I did, and I do, but it was so hard, but nobody was honest with me. And in retrospect, I'm not even mad at those women because they probably felt the same way that I did, that they have to keep up this perfect appearance and they can't tell anybody anything is wrong because we would also think that they were horrible moms. And we're just all sitting around like ticking time bombs, looking at each other, thinking that this mom's perfect and that mom's perfect, and I'm broken. When if we would have just been like, "Hey, bitch, I'm having a bad day." Me too. How different could things have been? I think it's very insensitive to just be like, everybody talks about the bad stuff. Well, talking about the good stuff all the time is detrimental to women's mental, physical, and emotional health. I don't want any woman thinking that she is broken and not a good mom, and that if she tells the truth, she will be ostracized and judged, and people will assume that she doesn't love her children. I see it now in posts where women are honest about their feelings of motherhood, People in the comments, I never feel that way. Everything is amazing. I feel bad for your kid. Like people just talking reckless. My kids, nobody makes me laugh like my children. My kids keep me young. My kids are just amazing. I think these are the smartest kids in the planet. I think they're the coolest kids in the planet. They're the best thing that happened to me. But there were times when I hated it. There were times when I was frustrated. There were times when it was very hard for me. There were times when it was very traumatic. Two things can be true at once. Two things can be true at once. I don't know who needs to hear that, but two things can be true at once. I will beat ass over my children. Don't play with me. I am proud of, I could write a book, but don't mess with my children. But parenting is also hard. And people look at me crazy when I tell them, hey, just wait to have kids, Get your money up. Do what, take some time. Do some things. Well, are you saying that you're giving up your life to have kids? To a certain extent, yes. If you want to give your kids the best life possible, there will be sacrifices made. Sometimes it's rewarding and you have your hand over your heart and you're looking lovingly at them. And sometimes, like me, you're in bed crying yourself to sleep because there was a promotion that you couldn't take because you couldn't quite figure out your child care situation. Motherhood has been both beautiful and sad for me. I love my children. They're spoiled. I'm proud of the fact that I spoil my kids. But sometimes it's been really hard. And I tell my kids that because I don't want them to think, oh, it's just easy. It's like having a baby doll. I want my kids to not be stressed out. My kids know I love them. They'll tell you. My kids laugh because they know that I advocate for them all the time. But they also know the truth. And because I too know the truth, if my kids decide to have children one day and they need a break or help, I'm going to be there for them every single time. So I think it is very heartless and inhumane to only want to tell women about the good things. We need both. Like I said, two things can be true at once, but I want women to be educated and empowered.